Another 2 weeks have passed since we last visited Orlando and seen the progress made around Universal Epic Universe. Since we last checked in, there has been significant progress made around the village area of Dark Universe thought to be named Darkmoor, new theming being added around Hiccup's wing gliders, as well as the ride vehicles for Yoshi's Adventure Ride are completely uncovered. All of this and more in this week's Universal Epic Universe Construction Update, with our aerial views provided to us as always by BioReconstruct. Starting this Epic Universe Construction Update in the back of Celestial Park and the land based off of Universal Monsters, Dark Universe. A couple of updates ago, we saw concrete being poured on either side of the entry portal as a foundation for something related to the portal. We now know that this concrete was for the base of the portal plate for Dark Universe. Looking closer at the portal plate, we can see a section of it is missing, some rebar or other metal framing coming from the tree roots. It is likely that we will see a tree root wrapping around the portal plate in this location. Just inside of the entry portal, we have seen more headstones placed along the pathway guests will follow before making their way into Darkmoor. The way these headstones are placed, it almost seems as though these will be blank headstones that are lined up for purchase instead of an actual graveyard. At the mouth of Darkmoor, we have our first good look at the exposed broken wall that has been worked on for the last several months. The rock work on this broken wall matches the rock work on the backside of the village. On top of this part of the broken wall is a small tower as well that matches several other towers found around the land. The left side of the broken wall continues to be sculpted and will have a similar tower as seen with the pinkish roof inside of the scaffolding. Inside of the village, a new tower has been erected and exposed from the scaffolding. This tower almost seems like a bell or church tower that may hold some sort of theming element inside of the structure. The shingles on the right side of the village are nearing completion, as the left side of the village is just beginning in certain areas. At the back of the village, where last update we saw a standalone broken wall where guests will enter the back part of the land, a new willow tree has been added next to that broken wall, giving guests the experience of walking through a forest in the back part of Dark Universe. One of the first things guests will see when they enter the forest is the Gothic-style manor, which is the front for the feature ride in Dark Universe. The entrance to this ride that is in front of the bridge guests will walk over before making their way into the manor has now been fully exposed. The scaffolding that has surrounded this structure has been removed since last time we visited Epic Universe. It is likely that the large opening at this entrance will separate guests like the large opening for Forbidden Journey, for Express Pass, and General Standalone. Behind the manor, in the overflow queue area for the feature ride, more trees have been planted on a berm behind the queue to give a visual barrier from the service road and other back-of-house buildings for Epic Universe. All around the newly poured pathways of Dark Universe, between the feature ride, Curse of the Werewolf, and Burning Blades, new trees have been planted on either side of the pathways, creating a more heavily forested look that is present inside of the tracks of Curse of the Werewolf. As we get closer to the opening, there are sure to be even more trees planted. On the other side of Epic Universe sits the How to Train Your Dragon Land and the Isle of Burk, where several new structures have been added since the last time we flew through this magical land. Starting off with Hiccup's wing gliders, the scaffolding that was added last update to work on the grandstands can now be seen started to be surrounded by the framing for the grandstands. More pieces of framing can be seen staged on the ground below in preparation to be installed. The look of these pieces of steel theming will likely match what is found around the first launch of this coaster. Before the coaster trains make it to the grandstands, or even the second launch, guests will circle the 3 sheep after flying underneath of a footbridge spanning the land's main lagoon. One thing that even I missed last update is that one of the sheep have been disguised as a small dragon. Just past this loop, along the tracks, additional trees have been planted, giving more of a visual barrier from guests on the coaster to the coaster building of Starfall Racers. Towards the beginning of the land's roller coaster, at the first launch, Alicia from Theme Park Stop pointed out that there are gears inside of the first launch. This will give riders the look of being strapped into the flying machine that Hiccup designed and is now testing out on you, the rider. Be sure to subscribe to Theme Park Stop if you don't already for more detailed Epic Universe ride rumors and permit information. Around the pair of spinning rides, there are several new foundations appearing, which is likely for separation from the queue for the spinning rides and the rest of the land. Next door at Grog and Gruel, the sides of the building have been painted since last update. In the center of the How to Train Your Dragon land sits the main full-service dining location thought to be named Mead Hall. On top of Mead Hall sits the mountaintop that has been recently enclosed in scaffolding. Last time out, we were still able to see the wire mesh through the scaffolding. This time though, there's no wire mesh seen, and we can see the rockwork beginning to be sculpted from the top of the mountain all the way to the bottom. On the tops of the walls around Mead Hall, we can see moss being added that appear to match the rockwork found all around the land. In the shadows of Mead Hall sits the target boat ride thought to be named Fire Drill. Outside of the progress that has been made in the lagoon, which we will get to in a moment, the queue area for Fire Drill has seen the most progress since breaking ground on the foundation footers. The framing for the covered queue area is now taking shape. The look of the framing makes me believe that it will look like the theming found at the load station. Inside of the boat ride lagoon, pumps have been installed around the path the boats will take to keep the current moving and the boats moving inside of the ride. Just outside of the lagoon, where the likely seating area will be for Spitfire Grill, pipes can be seen coming out of the ground at the edge of the lagoon. These could be water cannons for guests on land to fire back at guests on Fire Drill. As progress is made in this area, we will be able to figure out what exactly is going on in this area. The last notable piece of progress made inside of the How to Train Your Dragon land is the main lagoon that meets guests as they pass through the entry portal has received a white coating like the one the boat ride lagoon received a couple of updates ago. It is likely that the main lagoon will get a darker coating that will match the one found in the lagoon for Fire Drill. The starting of this coating does indicate that the work of the basin of the lagoon has been completed. From one animated land to another, Super Nintendo World's portal is the last of the 4 themed lands to receive its portal plate. Hopefully soon, we should see it. However, until that time comes, the landscaping on either side of the portal is continuing without delay, as dirt has now been filled in on the left side of the portal. Just inside of the Mushroom Kingdom, the turrets for Peach's castle have come to life and are now being constructed to give the castle the look we all know. Just to the left of Peach's castle, the theming that matches Mount Beanpole continues as the painting has been completed. Headed over towards the Mario Kart ride, last update where we saw a maze of electrical conduit has since been covered by the layer of dense foam, and now rebar reinforcement in preparation for its final concrete pathway. The central turret of Bowser's Fortress is also being erected after the side turrets were seen being constructed last update. Just to the right of the entrance to the Mario Kart ride, you can see the M doorway. This is the exit to the Mario Kart ride. To the left of Bowser's Fortress, the white snow caps along the roofline have been expanded since last time we were in the kingdom. One of the more exciting changes seen in all of Epic Universe this update is the ride vehicles of Yoshi's Adventure have been completely uncovered for the first time. These ride vehicles are identical to the ones found at other Yoshi's Adventures found around the globe. Looking closer, we can see an egg vehicle which is the ride's accessible vehicle. Just beyond the Mushroom Kingdom is Donkey Kong Country, where the new foundation that we saw appear last update is now getting concrete walls poured. It is still unknown what this structure will be at this time, but we are still keeping an eye on it. The minecart coaster has seen a lot of theming progress since the last time we visited as well. On the coaster building, a palm tree has been added to the gap between the oversized blocks, as well as a ring frame. There is still a lot of room to fill in around this area, so there could still be more added on later. On the coaster tracks, more trestle theming has been added between the coaster supports, with more scenes staged ready to be installed nearby. Moving into the new wizarding world of Harry Potter and the streets of Paris, there has been a tremendous amount of detail work completed since we last walked through the Parisian streets. Just outside of the entry portal to the land, the entry courtyard has seen new blue-colored concrete poured, creating a more elegant design. To the left of the portal, if you are looking towards the streets, a garden has been planted with small bushes and flowers. To the right side of the portal, there have been a number of small trees planted. Inside of the portal itself, we can see that a concrete pour is pending with the waterproofing underneath of the reinforcement rebar. To the right of the replica arch, the graphics on the wall that has not seen much progress the last few updates has exploded all over the side of the building. The same can be said with many of the building faces all around the land. There has been an enormous number of graphics painted on these buildings with no end in sight when they may stop. There has also been a few more sections of scaffolding removed around the streets. However, the amount of scaffolding removed is relatively small compared to the sections seen in previous updates. Work continues at the base of the monument, where detail work is still taking place. To the right side of the monument, we can see a set of stairs being formed. It is unknown if these stairs will have any function at all, or just decorative like the ones found in Diagon Alley at Universal Studios Florida. Overlooking the streets of Paris sits the Helios Grand Hotel, where progress continues all around the towers to fully enclose the rooms. On the roof, work continues on the rooftop bar and lounge inside of the massive steel dome. Some of the additional horizontal ribs of the dome are being installed. Opposite the Epic Universe side of the hotel, the resort's pool area continues to take shape as we get closer to seeing the concrete shape of the pool to be poured. As guests staying at Helios Grand Hotel make their way into Epic Universe from their dedicated entrance, they are met by the massive show fountain, where more sculpted rockwork has been placed since the last time we took a dive into Epic Universe. Around the entire fountain, we saw a new concrete form placed. We can now see some of that form removed, with the new concrete ring being covered with a black fabric. Inside of the fountain, additional pumps have been installed for the water show that will be played throughout the day. Next to the main show fountain sits Meteor Astropub, where work continues to try to have this location ready for the grand opening of Epic Universe next year. A new glass roof has been installed on the rotunda of Meteor Astropub, allowing guests to see straight through the ceiling. Sitting between the main show fountain and Constellation Carousel sits Astronomica, which is the confirmed water play area. We recently saw a concrete ring poured inside of the nozzles, and now we can see additional prep work taking place for future concrete work around the rest of the nozzles. Constellation Carousel continues to see a lot of progress made every update. This time out, every rib that ends inside of the second water feature of Epic Universe can be seen painted gold. Inside of the dome, we can see blue tarps laid out on the spinning platform. This is likely just areas where workers are laying out parts for the carousel to protect the platform, as it does not appear that these tarps are covering anything. Just outside of the carousel, we can see the foundation for the signage that was seen in the renderings released last month. The circular foundation with the arrow pointing to it is the area now in question. Near the carousel is one of the most talked about attractions at Epic Universe, which is the dueling roller coaster of Starfall Racers, where out back behind the load station we can see an enormous amount of foundation work taking place. Thanks to Tommy Hawkins, we now know that this area is the extended queue area for the coaster. In front of the load station, where the ride trains are coming at each other head on and the comet theming is located, the rocks at the base of the comet have been painted completely in the reddish marge-like color we saw started to appear last update. The comet frame itself has also seen color being added. The rocks on the outside of the coaster tracks between the tracks and Celestial Park have not been painted yet, but are more than likely next to be painted, giving the completion of the paint of the comet rocks. Just outside of the entry portal to the How to Train Your Dragon Land is the newest project in Epic Universe, where thanks to the sharp eye of Alicia from Theme Park Stop, we now know that there will be at least a Mexican dining location. It is believed that there will also be an Italian dining location in this building as well. We can now see the footers for the building started to appear. Next update, we should see the concrete poured in these footers and hopefully start to see some steel being staged nearby for the structure. Just opposite to this new project sits the cascading waterfalls that meets guests as they enter Epic Universe. New bridge foundations have appeared, showing us where guests will be able to access the island in the middle of the waterfalls. At the head of the waterfalls, at the main overlook, dirt is now being backfilled, telling us that the beginning of the waterfalls is nearly complete. Just south of Epic Universe sits Stella Nova and Terra Luna Resorts, where thanks to BioReconstruct's tireless work on the coverage of Epic Universe, we have our first look at the exterior lights of Stella Nova in action. These lights give a constellation twinkling effect on the exterior of the hotels. Terra Luna is also making good progress with the exterior tiles as workers are getting closer to the first end of the hotel. With that bright new update, that leads us to the end of this week's Universal Epic Universe construction update. I would like to thank BioReconstruct as always for the construction coverage, as well as Alicia from Theme Park Stop and Tommy Hawkins for the information they provide on the details of Epic Universe. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next Epic Universe update. And until next time, travelers, have a great one.